Here are what I think are the 5 most common mistakes that a new coach makes. I see this a lot, and I engaged in some of this myself a long time ago when I first started coaching, when I got out of college and whatnot. Number one, unorganized. Sometimes where there's no rhyme or reason to our practices. There's no drill plan. There's no coaching philosophy. There's no wrestling philosophy. It's just, a hodgepodge of showing moves, and when all you're doing is showing moves randomly, the kids don't get good at anything. So you want to be highly organized, and I think that's probably the number one key to the success that our program, our camps, and so forth have had. Poor classroom management skills. A teacher that is not a good teacher is not a good teacher because he or she can't teach fifth grade history. They probably have a master's degree in history, but they can't get the information to the kids, or a lot of times it's unorganized. I remember when I was a teacher, we used to follow a guy named Harry Wong, I believe his name was, and he was the master at putting the workers to work. And I remember even seeing teacher friends of mine, sometimes it take them 15 minutes just to take roll, and the kids are still loud, and it's just, that's a waste. It's only a 45-minute class, and you've wasted, 33% of the kids' time, your time, the taxpayers' time, and we do that in wrestling too. So be good at classroom management and getting the workers to work, and this includes, your disciplinary stuff. When I was a coach, I never kicked anybody off the team. They kicked themselves off. So, for example, if you miss a practice, that's fine. You have to, run 30 bleachers or something. And I ran with them, not because I was, it was a good way to get in shape, But that was the deal. And if you keep missing practices, you keep doing that, and you don't practice until you do those. It worked out fantastic. And the kids who kept missing practice, who refused to do those, they were off the team. And if they decided they wanted to come back, I'm like, you still haven't made up those 5 practices you missed. You got to do 150 bleachers. Not all at one time, obviously, but you earn your way back on the team just like you earned your way off. This is not me. I used to say, I care so much about your conditioning, and I don't want you to get injured on the mat. So therefore, since you've missed 3 practices, I cannot, in good conscience, put you onto the wrestling mat and put you in danger. And the kids would laugh and stuff, but I do think that was probably not a bad idea of way of doing things. I have a college coaching friend who does something similar as far as, the kids can earn their way back on the team, which is, they should be able to. They're kids. They're going to screw up sometimes. But have all this planned ahead of time so you're not blowing your stack in practice, and one time you treat the really good kids differently than you treat the other kids. You should take all the emotions out of it. People say it's hard not to play favorites. No, it's not. Don't do it. No one's better than anybody else, and none of these kids have won a college NCAA title or an Olympic title yet. So I don't care how good they are. The college dropout rate in wrestling is probably 90+%. So I don't idolize middle school kids, youth kids, or high school kids, because it's like a world champion friend of mine said, the road is really long and it's hard, and you haven't done that yet. Now, I'm excited for where you're at, but everybody's the same. I remember when I went to Oklahoma State years ago, we were talking with the Steiner boys, and I was like, what's it like at Iowa? And they seemed to be a little bit interested in what it was like at Oklahoma State, because back then that was only two powers there were. And they said, at Iowa, if you work hard, you get respect. I don't care if you're a walk-on or an Olympic champ. The Olympic champs and NCAA champs treat you the same as everybody else. Now, you can be a blue chipper, a 3-time national champ and out of high school, and if you don't work hard, if you lay in the training room with an ice pack, you get shunned. And I think there's something to be said for treating everybody the same. But as far as being unorganized classroom management, the third thing I think is the head baseball coach is called a manager. The head wrestling coach, we're so arrogant and big egos and so driven, some of us. We want to do it all. You can't do it all. You need to have a staff. You need to be organized, and be a manager, just like the baseball coaches. Manage your assistant coaches, manage your middle school coaches, manage your youth coaches and program. Have drill routines and systems in place before time. Have a couple of meetings with these guys, and put someone in charge of the booster club. There's no reason for you to be at a booster club meeting. I'll tell you what I need. You guys can take care of it. If you don't, that's fine. When I was a high school coach, we didn't have a booster club because it was always me and the same 3 parents doing everything. I just quit doing it. And once they reinstated it, I go, fine, you guys run the booster club. I'm running the team. Had a daughter at home, was 3 months old. I never got to see. I would go to booster club meetings. So you learn to manage everything. That includes the booster club. And if you manage things, then you can run your program, and your program won't run you, which is what usually happens. And then you're never home. You're stressed out. Your wife's mad. Your husband. Most high school coaches are male, obviously, but for any coach, they make these mistakes. A lot of coaches get divorced. I don't know. You're gone all the time. So I think having a management having a manager mentality is key. I even we had 7 mat maids, girl managers that wanted to be a part of the team. We had a girls team too when I was in Texas. We had like 40 girls on our team. We were the first ever girls state champions at Sam Houston High School, so that was pretty cool. So I was really a big fan of girls wrestling, but not all of them wanted to do it. And some of them joined and quit. And I'm like, stay involved with the team. I love the cheerleaders too. We had them. We used to walk into a tournament like a mob. We had like 7 managers, me and 1 coach, because the first 3 years I was the only coach. We didn't have Texas wrestling was different back then. But we had cheerleaders, we had the team, we had a girls team. It was awesome, and that's what high school sports is about. So having those girls helping me was fantastic. They helped with equipment and keeping things organized, and they wanted to, they wanted to be involved. Some kids, they want to be involved after school in activities, but there's nothing to do. So reach out to those kids that you see that maybe don't have a lot of friends and whatnot. And I mean, that's what being a teacher is about. Is putting your arm around kids and bringing them into your circle, and they want to help, So that takes stress off of you too. So it's such a wonderful thing. Number 4, lack of communication. You got to talk to the parents, email them, just keep them abreast of the situation. And this might be something that your manager can do. Maybe have an assistant coach who really likes that kind of stuff. Have them do it. But stay in constant communication with the parents, just quickly, a couple times a week. They really appreciate that. A couple pieces of advice. So that's 5 things I think. Unorganized, classroom management is poor, a poor manager. You take on the hat of, you wear the hat of being a head coach, not a manager who manages the whole program from the bottom to the top. Number 4, low communication, and 5 is overtraining. We do that a lot when we're new coaches. Don't overtrain these guys. If you sprint the first lap, the last 3 laps you're done. You're not going to win the state title in the mile. You're not doing it. It's over. You ruined it. Okay, but if you start off a little too slow in the first 1 or 2 miles, you have time to sprint up at the end and catch people. So I would rather be a little bit undertrained going down to the last 3 weeks of season than overtrained, because once it's overtrained, you've ruined it. The kids are done. It's over. And we see that all the time. You see that in college back in the day, in the 80s and 90s when I wrestled. It was like Army boot camp. They just tried to kill us. And nowadays I know a lot of college coaching guys, and a lot of my former wrestlers are college coaches now, and they tell me these things that, hey, you know what? There's a team that ranked number 5th in the nation now. They go, the last 2 months of season, our practices are 1 hour and 20 minutes. We get in and out. Now, you can't do that in a high school probably, but the mindset should be an eye-opener for you. I don't like morning practices either. Let these kids sleep. You don't need to be up there at 6:30 in the morning either. Stay at home. Drink some coffee with your wife. I mean, let these kids sleep. Nowadays, the teachers give 5 hours of homework a night, which is pathetic in my opinion. These kids, they need to sleep. No morning practices. It's just, I would say it's stupid. It's just stupid. It's a waste of time. They don't need it. Just do a better job of running practices, and you don't need morning practices. Besides, why would I run conditioning or anything in the morning why divide up my workout? You know, why not just put the workout plus the little conditioning at the end, and then you have a better practice, and the kids' conditioning and whatnot is going to be better. So, overtraining, morning practices leads to that too. So, unorganized classroom management, they're a coach, not a manager, low communication or poor communication, overtraining the kids. I remember when John Smith took over at the Oklahoma State. He was a wrestler for the first 3 years. I was lucky enough to get to work out with him a lot, you know, 3-4 days a week for years. But then he became the head coach at Oklahoma State, and he goes, "I will run this team like a coach. I mean, like an athlete, not a coach." He said, "I hate it when people become coaches and they start turning into a coach. I'm going to coach like an athlete because I know how hard this is and what you're going through, and I do the same thing as a coach." So that's good advice that you can probably take. I got a little phrase I've coined: "We all fall in love with wrestling when we don't have to do it anymore." Make sure this isn't you. You know, I've seen coaches who are so passionate, you know, and they're making the kids cut huge weight, and they're belittling the kids because they didn't work hard enough. I mean, it's nonstop, and I'm thinking, dude, I knew you in high school. You used to hide under the curtain when it was time to do sprints after practice, you know, and now all of a sudden you're Tommy Tough Guy. Don't be that way, you know. Don't fall in love with wrestling now that you don't have to do it anymore. It's a very grueling sport. There's a lot of times the sport kind of sucks, you know, and that's what the kids are going through. So be a coach who coaches from an athlete perspective, not that this is my second leash on life, my second chance, because it's not a second chance, you know. And sure, if you have some regrets, I think we all do. It's part of being driven. If you're driven, you're going to have regrets. You're going to fail. If you set your goals high, you're not going to accomplish them all. It's part of it. Just let all that go. This is a new chapter. You're now a coach, and you know, just kind of keep your emotions out of it, and I think you're going to have a better chance. So there's good advice. Hopefully it helps some of you. Hit the YouTube subscribe button. Check us out at perlerwrestling.com. Camps, clinics, DVDs, summer camps. We have weekend camps at our 15,000 square foot facility on 10 acres right here in St. Louis area. Kids come from as far away as Alaska for our camps, and many college coaches from around the nation have sent their kids to our camps over the years. So that's pretty exciting that we have a lot of opportunities. Also, weekend overnight wrestling camps, so that might be an option for some of you. But you can check us out, perlerwrestling.com, and hopefully this is some good advice that might help you not to make the mistakes I made.